The visionary design will have enough surface area to park 4.5 Airbus A380s. But when architect Moshe Safdie first mooted it, it stemmed from a purely functional need.
Luxury hotels, as we think of them, always have lots of open space around them, gardens, at least in the kind of tradition. But we didn't have much space left. And at that point, I figured, well, if we cut out of an extrusion of foam the kind of slab that goes over those three towers, and we placed it there, and we said, well, what do we have here? My God, that's some power. And so that's where the idea was born. That's what makes us a resort.
This is not a critical direction.
Safdie's revolutionary idea scores points for ingenuity, but it clearly isn't what nature intended. Typhoon-force winds threaten to rock the towers and its sky park, causing unimaginable damage. If engineers are to make the building a reality, they'll need a rock-solid solution.
Still got to do all this cladding.
Engineer Tony McKee has little time to make things happen.
At the moment, we're running a couple of weeks behind what we'd originally planned. We're not entirely happy about it. But at the end of the day, we've got to do this safe, and we've got to do it properly. You're safe close to
To fight the enemy, McKee knows he has to first understand the enemy. He hires leading US wind engineers CPP to carry out extensive testing on the towers and Sky Park. Their mission? Find out how Singapore's potential wind forces affect the buildings. Wind engineer Roy Danoon oversees the process at their state-of-the-art wind tunnel in Fort Collins, Colorado.
The thing that makes this really special is the fact that we have this sky park running across the top, linking all the towers together. So whereas normally with a normal tower, we'd measure the loads on the tower in isolation, with this one, what we're needing to do is to measure the loads on all three of the towers at exactly the same time. So that way we can know how the towers are going to move relative to each other, so we can make sure that they're not going to put excessive strains or movements into the sky park.
During the tests, a scale model of the Marina Bay towers is blasted with 40km/h winds to simulate faster typhoon winds in reality. Over 1,000 pressure measuring instruments inside the model register how the winds affect the buildings. At the end of the tests, engineers confirm that the three towers can deform by some 200 millimeters during the fiercest storm. Engineers quickly figure out a solution: movement joints. Inspired by bridge engineering philosophy, movement joints are essentially gaps located between the concrete towers. The huge gaps allow for movements of up to 250 millimeters. Aluminium and stainless steel plates act as sliding components.
They can move back and forward over each other, a little bit like you'd see in a flexible bus, where you have that articulation happening in the middle. It's a similar concept to that.
To accommodate the differing movements of the three towers, engineers install multi-directional steel bearings below the sky park. Armed with the final results, McKee can now safely begin construction of the sky park. Consisting of some 10,000 tons of steel, the sky park is as big as an aircraft carrier. The most practical way for engineers to construct it is to break it into 14 segments on the ground before assembling it at the top of the towers. There's no room for miscalculation at 200 meters in the air. Each segment is carefully prefabricated and tested by steel specialists Yongnan, and then trucked to the site independently. From the very beginning, McKee and his team anticipate that their biggest challenge will be lifting the two largest segments of the Sky Park, the box girders. Measuring 80 meters long, their combined weight is a staggering 1,400 tons.
How do we feel? A little bit of apprehension. You know, it's a significant lift that hasn't been done before. If something goes wrong, it could be really significant for us.
To reduce risks, McKee turns once again to proven bridge building technology. In a process known as Strand Jacking, giant temporary lifting gantries made of strong structural steel will use powerful hydraulic jacks to lift the box girders up to the top of the towers before sliding them into place. It will be the longest and largest lift of its kind in the world, and McKee needs the best in the business. He puts a pioneer in the field in charge. Swiss-French company VSL. Engineer Eddie King and his team have successfully raised bridges, stadium roofs, and even Ferris wheels.
The toughest work of my work is you have to plan it everything very precisely, because everything to set up in millimeters. So we have to lift up and slide it in and position it in 5 or 10 millimeter accuracies. We don't do properly or don't do safely here. What's the biggest hazard is the thing can fall down to the ground.
Other factors further complicate the lifting process. Due to an increasingly tight schedule, the team is forced to conduct the lift during Singapore's annual monsoon season. It's almost impossible to predict when a tropical storm will hit. When it does, the accompanying lightning strikes can endanger lives. And because the whole operation takes place meters from a jam-packed highway, curious onlookers will be able to see any mistakes the engineers make. It's a potential public relations nightmare.
Okay, now I stop now.
During an estimated 16-hour lift, the box girders will move at a cautious 14 meters per hour. Eddie King and his team constantly check their weather gauges for any incoming storms. The hydraulic jacks are also inspected regularly for overheating. No one wants the operation to stall in mid-air.
For today, point 1 to point 4. 288.
This one.
Change to channel 2, yeah?
Despite the team's best efforts, Mother Nature catches them by surprise.
Okay guys, rain is coming. It's better we stop here.
An approaching downpour threatens to grow into a lightning storm.
We are at 200 meters above and surrounding building is quite far away. So there's a chance of the lightning striking on the high point like this. So we got to stop and wait until the weather getting better before we continue our lift.
McKee's worst fear comes true. If the girders remain stuck at midway for too long, he will have to order them down.
Okay.
After a tense 3 hours, the lightning threat passes, and the operation cranks back to life. By the time the box girders slide into position, it's past midnight.
Everything went quite smooth today, so we hope tomorrow we can do the same.
With the lessons learned from the box girder lift, the rest of the segments go up smoothly. As the final piece rises into place, Singapore is already marveling at the team effort behind one of the world's most ambitious building projects. In just 3 years, engineers overcame seemingly impossible construction challenges, defeated marine clay, engineered ingenious design solutions, and survived the most debilitating financial crisis since the 1930s. As the finishing touches are put on the resort, the stage is set for an opening party, Singapore style. Those involved reflect on the project that has already far surpassed their expectation.
It's a bit kind of overwhelming, you know. I'm in the process of disconnecting the umbilical cord. It's not easy for an architect.
This type of project probably only comes around every 25 years or so. So it's been a lot of hard work, extremely challenging. I really can't imagine, I couldn't list the number of challenges we've overcome along the way to get to today.
Everybody is saying this is kind of a miracle, you know, never seen anything like it. And it's rewarding, it's nice.
The Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. Proof that with visionary design and engineering know-how, megastructures can still defy the odds and fulfill the wildest dreams.